Hey all, this is 012 Boku, and
The Shogun of Sandwich, Jherick the Jackass.
alright, and we are coming at you with the review again for Idiot's New Anime on Fullmetal Alchemist, the original again, where, as you guys saw, I did my short review a couple days ago. Jherick is now here to give his thoughts, and take it away, Jherick.
Yeah, and slightly idiotic production.
Hold on. I forgot to mention to the episode 16, to which that is lost in case you guys have not seen my other review or seen the update. But hey, at least 10 of you have, because I've gotten 10 things on it. But go ahead.
Yeah, and our legal team would like to apologize in advance for anything I'm about to say.
Oh boy, now you got me really worried, Jherick. So,
well, I mean, we have the return of everybody's favorite alchemist of beautiful alchemy.
Autistic alchemy.
Mr. Alexander Louise Armstrong, a.k.a. Daddy as Fuck. Well, I mean, he would be, if it wasn't for Mace Hughes, but
yeah,
you get what I'm saying. And this
he really does have that surrogate father feel, so I hear you.
I mean, honestly, I'm a little shocked we haven't seen, fan art of, him and Saber, with them both having that Ihigo, or whatever it's called, the cowlick thing, the anime
Well, I know who you're talking about, but yeah, don't give the internet any more ideas than they already have, Jherick.
Well, and considering she told Shiro, in one scene where he sees her naked coming out of the bath, I know I'm unattracted to men because I'm too muscular. It's oh, she don't know.
Well, I don't mean to upset any Last of Us fans, but I don't think I've given my opinion on here too much. But for anyone who knows, the Ronda Rousey Abby character, and believe me, if anyone gets upset at that, I'm sorry, but if they didn't model her off of Ronda Rousey, they were pretty damn fucking close, because those, probably even bigger muscles than Ronda Rousey herself, but the way that the face was, the hair, I'm like, did they just take a model of Ronda Rousey from a picture and just say, this is Abby? But again, not getting into it because I've got some personal gripes with that game, like most other fans do. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that, so go ahead, Jherick.
I mean, hey, maybe one day we'll get around to talking about Miss Abby Normal, but anyways.
Maybe.
But, again, we get to see the glory that is Mr. Armstrong just being Mr. Frickin' Armstrong. Basically what would happen if Raiden didn't stop being a good guy after Fatal Fury 2 and just remained as Big Bear. And yes, Big Bear is Raiden. He temporarily went face and then went back to being heel. Wrestling. But no, seriously, in Fatal Fury Wild Ambition, you actually get to see both of his costumes, the Big Bear and the Raiden one. Yeah, just have a mirror match. Anyways, it's kind of a neat thing because, we get to see, just how absolute unit he is. Yeah, you collapse a sewer tunnel on him? Nah, he's okay. And heck, he just wants to go back to work and protect the kids. Because again, he may not be Daddy Supreme like Mace Hughes is, but he is the best uncle.
Well, again, to just reiterate your point on that, it's like when the Alrics are injured and they're trying to see who's going to take them but also protect them against Scar. Everybody's got other duties, and then you have all of Mustang's men who say, hey, we're not strong enough to go against him. And I love how during that, they're always intercutting back to Armstrong, muscles flexing, and doing that I made a logical choice, brave for you.
And it's just hilarious. It's the most FGO Gawain shit ever. If you people have played that game, you know how gorilla Gawain is. Seriously, they had to mega nerf him and super buff one of Medusa's sisters just for people to be able to fight him. But hey, you want more on that? Watch Toho Sniper 98 on YouTube. Anyways, yeah, he's just flexed. He's doing his shit. He is being daddy as all hell because, number one, he's right. Who else is going to be able to lift the Elrics in their present condition? Number two, who would really stand a chance against Scar except somebody who's basically the face version of to Scar's heel? Again, wrestling fans. And number two, he probably doesn't need to say it, but I think we all know he's kind of itching for a rematch. Come on. I am a big, strong man with manly muscles. You are a big, strong man with manly muscles, and we're both experts in alchemy. I'm challenging you for the belt, kiddo. Winner takes the Elrics. Ding, 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 ding. But while he's doing this, of course, we get to also, I just love the excuses, how everybody does have a legitimate excuse, but also it's like, number one, we don't want to be on the train with this guy. We already know. And number two, we don't want to have to fight Scar. And frankly, again, Armstrong is the best counter to him. And as long as he, doesn't let his PTSD get involved. But I love how when he's flexing, you see the words virility with roses behind him. Now, look, I'm not going to make the joke, but again, anybody who paid attention to the background stage of Big Bear and Fatal Fury 2 knows where this is going. Like, let's just say the boys might want to protect their vital essence. Because someone has a little too much virility and he's looking to add more. I mean, come on, we never really see him date.
Well, regardless of him falling in love with himself, I don't know if he would, but I know what you're getting at, but I don't think Armstrong would be like that because,
Well, I mean, not with them, but I mean, honestly, I could kind of see him maybe appreciating it's like, Mustang, you're plenty strong, yes, but think about it. What if you were, now you're a man? Flaming man. Now you're a man.
Well, I mean, there could be something to it because I know it was a side thing in the manga, and it was actually a main episode for the original anime here. But there's a thing where Jean Havoc is actually wanting to find a date, and he actually Armstrong sets up with his little sister, and the date's going good. She really likes Jean, and she's like, Jean, I could date you, but there's one problem. I want a big, strong man like my brother. And then you have Armstrong in the back while she says this flexing, and he's like, sorry, Lieutenant, those are the brakes. And I'm like, and that's the one scene that gets me to pause. I'm like, as funny as that is also you, because would you like someone like your brother? And to go along with your point, it makes you think, is this how strong? This is why they always carry things on the Armstrong family line? Do they do inbreeding? But I'm not gonna get into that right now.
Well, and also consider that in both in this series and I believe also in Brotherhood, there's that time where they need someone to talk to Izumi Curtis and her husband, and how does he do it? It's like, I guess their muscles understand one another.
Yeah.
Which seriously, the team up between him and Izumi Curtis's husband is just the best shit ever.
Yeah, which doesn't happen till way later in part two, practically near the end, where sadly, and this is my thing, I won't get into it now because you probably hear about it. But, it's like in part two, Armstrong does become super duper irrelevant. Not everyone may agree with me on that, but it comes more about his damn sister than it is him. And I'm like, couldn't they keep this on an equal thing? Because don't get me wrong, his sister's cool, but I've also thought his sister is a bitch. But and that's his older sister, not his younger sister.
And I know I'm going to get shit for this, considering the love for like his crazy sister in Brotherhood, but I prefer the original one where
I do too.
Where she looks like
don't see her.
Yeah, where she looks like a sweet, dainty little Lily Khan, and then she's bench pressing like fucking grand baby pianos.
Well, remember that's again his little sister who can do that, and then at the same time, again, not to bring it down the Brotherhood way, but there's a thing where, because their house is a strategic setup against the Fuhrer and all the homunculi, they use their house as like that strategic foothold. And it's like, no, this place is mine. I have the right to take it, not you, sister. And then it's like, fine, I'll fight you for it. And then we just see him get emasculated, and you see the little sister as the family's leaving. Good luck, Alex. Have a good fight. I hope you win. And I'm like, really, seriously? I know she's supposed to be tough, but can we basically hack Armstrong's balls off anymore?
And I mean, that's kind of why, I think he may or may not have more leanings towards the more
opposite sex,
manly side of things. Because, I mean, let's be honest, his little sister's nice. The other one, don't get me wrong.
And again, just I'm glad you did put the disclaimer on here, Jherick, because I'll even say it now. Don't believe me. Me and Jherick are not saying anything on that. We, if it's what you do, you do. But it's just like, he's just making the analogy. We're not insinuating anything here. So just to let you guys clear on that.
But I mean, hey, in Australia,
and your YouTube, don't dock us.
In Australia, big bears, manly men, and sheep run scared. giggity giggity goo.
But yeah, go ahead, Jherick, because we sort of got slightly off topic.
Also, another weird thing about Alexander Anderson that gets brought up, Alexander Louise Armstrong that gets brought up in this episode is how he always mentions, his family's legacy of artisticness, nobleness, and grace.
Yeah.
Which kind of reminds me, for those of you who know anything about Nichi Sanji, about Salome, a.k.a. Desuwa. Oh, she's adorable, but goddamn does that Desuwa get spammed. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's kind of true, because like when they're on the train, of course, Alphonse gets packaged as in the cargo hold with a bunch of sheep, which again, you don't want us making the joke. Don't give me the easy setups. Don't line them up. You know I'm going to knock them down. But yeah, he's trapped in the cargo hold with a bunch of sheep, and I love how this episode in particular really emphasizes how hard they were trying to keep everything a secret. Yeah, the military knows he's a sentient suit of armor because they have to. But, Alphonse basically having to remain quiet and pretend to just be an empty suit of armor lest he arouse the suspicion of the locals is just a neat touch. And, of course, Edward gets a little, worried about his brother, so he decides to go to the cargo hold, and lo and behold, they accidentally dropped him off at the wrong location.
Yeah.
And, God help me, I just love how it's not even a question. It's like Alexander's like, wait, we should wait till the next town over. No, he goes after his brother just instantly, which, if you're a brother in that situation, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. Well, again, they did have to go back around because by the time they got there, they call him the grandson, but there was the boy who shows up to take him because he wants to fight this apparent mafia group in their town. And, he's already gone. So they did go around, but it's after that when he's saying, no, we should stick together. And, all it takes is him to just basically say, and again, because every time Edward hears something about the military, he gets upset because he realizes his dark corner. And, Edward, we don't really know Alphonse's thoughts, but Edward was really no fan of the military right from the outset because his mother was worried. They find out very early on, as what happened to Winry's parents in the Ishban War, and all these different things. And also, the mistrust for Edward just keeps growing.
And also, you have to remember that Panako lost her sons, and she was basically the surrogate mother to the Elrics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but again, it's another neat callback to real life war. People do tend to sign up young. I mean, hell, I've already told you guys that I had a friend who lied about his age just to get into World War II, only to realize Marines are hard shit, and then he couldn't get out. But hey, love you, Al. Stay good in heaven. But I mean, there's also people who join just straight out of convenience. It's like, I don't like you guys, but this shit is crazy and there's no way I can do it myself. I mean, there was a lot of that. War does that to people. But I do love how when they get to the station to ask the guy running the place, like, hey, did you see this suit of armor? And God damn, does Alexander Louise Armstrong have some art skills? Like, seriously, this guy's almost as good as, like, Ina, the tentacle girl from Hololive, or the pervy pirate princess, Osho Marine.
Yes, this form of artistry has been pushed down from the Armstrong family for generations.
Which, again, it's just so hilarious that he always brings that up. But, hey, that's the reason why I switched out my other glove for, I don't know if you guys can really tell, this is a lampshank riding glove. The ones you get your butler to wear when he's driving the Rolls Royce, driving you and your little orphan Annie to wherever it is you're going.
Yeah, not to worry, guys. If you're wondering, I still have mine that Jherick got me. It's just that Roy Mustang has not had, because if you guys remember, last time I wore this was the duel against Edward, and he really hasn't had a big moment in the script, but he's still much part of it. But, if he doesn't have a big moment, I don't put those on, really. So
don't worry, Mr. Mustang. We haven't forgotten about you.
No. Well, of course not. He's a big integral part to this.
But, I mean,
he'll have his moments.
It's just kind of neat to see, like all good nobles, he has his pride in his long-standing family history of artistic beauty and grace, which, by the way, also is part of the reason why I possibly bring up to him preferring the dudes, because, yeah, incest and extracurricular gentlemanly activities were quite common among the nobility. So honestly, it's again kind of a neat little touch. And also, again, if you don't want me making these jokes, don't give them the most awesome porn stash in anime history.
Well, and again, I could be wrong about this, but I've seen this from the comments on YouTube, and I've also made this assumption myself. I really should look it up to see where she got the idea for the Armstrong family, but to me, they have, since it is based in a quasi-Europe Germany, um, it reminds me a lot of, the King of Germany who was around, not during that time, since this is like early 1920s, but he reminds me of the family of Charlemagne, where the Charlemagne family held a lot of power within Europe and even some within, medieval England around that time. They were a very powerful family, and it's almost like, she makes Hiromu Arikawa makes subtle nods to that. Again, I could be wrong, but that's just what we all think.
Or potentially, it could be a reference to one of the great French rulers, specifically Louis, the king of the Sun
I was about
King.
to say King Louis.
Yep, King Louis, the guy for the Sun King, one of the most narcissistic rulers in all of France. Also, possibly the guy who may have helped start the downfall of France in general.
Well, it's funny because if that is true as well, if the Armstrongs were narcissistic, it's the good kind of narcissistic, to where not that they're being vain, but they're just in love with themselves, which is a form of narcissism.
Well, I mean, hey, look at the muscles, man. And I mean, again, the way he sparkles whenever he's flexing. I mean, we see that a lot in anime as a trope.
Or even sitting there, like in this episode on the train, he's all sparkling sitting there.
Plus, I just love like his little civilian outfits. Like he's actually got really good taste in his civilian attire.
Well, yeah, he's all well dressed. Nice ties, nice suits.
I mean, he's a man of elegance and refinement. Of course, he's going to be a sharp dressed man.
Yep.
Cue the ZZ Top.
Just needs a longer beard.
But it's it's kind of neat. We see the kid, wearing Al, riding his granny bike. Which, by the way, how stupid would it be? You roll up on a mafioso wanting to kill him in a badass suit of armor that's half broken on a granny bike. I mean, come on.
Well, he's thinking that it covers him enough to where I'll be fine. And Alphonse, like I mentioned in the review, got him out of that in such a funny, unique way. But it's funny how both the Elricks had contact with that family in various different ways.
And this is also a great episode for Al because we get to see, like, usually I get to compliment Ed for being the sharp, clever one, but this is definitely one where Al is going to outshine Ed in that regard because the kid's talking to himself about what he wants to do. Yeah, with this armor, I bet they won't even be able to hurt me or anything. And he starts instantly understanding what's going on and analyzing what this kid's about. And I love how, like, when he eventually talks to the kid, it's like, this armor can talk. It's like, oh yes, I'm the latest model of armor from the Central.
Yeah, where's the off switch? I don't have an off switch.
But I love how it's like, you plan to fight him? I'm gonna end him. You're gonna kill him, aren't you? You'll get hurt, won't you? It's like, not if I'm wearing you. It's like, I don't mean that way. You're gonna hurt inside. And I love how, like, when he realizes this kid's too stupid to think about the long-term consequences, he switches tactics instantly. He's like, but don't you understand? Oh. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, it looks like we're having a Bethesda issue.
Well, yeah, I don't know what's going on with my camera, but why it's blitzing out like that. But
yeah. Well, anyways, that
was weird.
He kind of just switches tactics, and he's like, but don't you understand? I'm a cursed suit of armor.
Yeah.
Once I'm done bonding with you, your soul will be mine forever. And I love how he even God, what was it? He's Onyu Mudo or something like that.
Something like that.
But I looked at the translation of like what he said, and basically is a combination of like the Japanese words for like cursed and the type of armor the samurai wore, like the plated ringmail armor that you see with like the kabuto hat and everything. And interestingly enough, it's for those of you who've played Darkstalkers and remember it, the character, I believe Bishamon is basically a cursed suit of armor in a similar vein to what Alphonse is talking about. Okay, seriously, is your camera haunted or something?
Dude, I don't know. Just keep going.
But yeah, I mean, it's basically kind of a reference to that, which, by the way, there are legitimate legends about that kind of stuff in Japan. Heck, again, that's what the Bishamantan in Darkstalkers basically is. He's a blood armor possessed by the bloodthirsty, mournful spirits that once wore it. So, kind of a neat little thing to see Alphonse do. And also, his armor itself is kind of like a weird amalgamation of like Western and Eastern styles of combat armor. So, again, it's just neat to see how clever and smart he is. I even love how he basically takes control, basically forces the kid's body to do a transmutation circle, warping his bike just to hammer the point home. I am a cursed armor. Once we're done bonding, you will be mine. And he just freaks the kid out, and he instantly goes running back to Grandpa.
While writing a bunch of runes and talismans on him and leaving him there.
Yeah, he leaves a bunch of those Hanafuda talismans that Reimu Hakuri uses in Toho projects. So basically, he was trying to seal the dark spirit. But yeah, I hate to break it to you, kid. You're not a Hakuri. Ain't gonna work. Hakuris can only be girls. So says the Zune. Anyways, yeah, he runs back to his grandpa. And who's his grandpa? Oh, just the old man that his brother Edward has been talking to.
Well, because his granddaughter stole his leg when he was trying to Alphonse.
Which, again, this is kind of a neat moment. Like having this kid basically, sneak up and steal his leg, basically hammering home the point that Scar made in the last episode. It's like, yeah, you guys are pretty badass, but you take away your auto mail, and you're basically more helpless than even regular children.
Yeah.
But it's neat because, again, this is what the desperation of war does. She stole his leg because she wanted to give it to her grandfather who lost his in the war. All right, give me a minute.
No, it's all right.
This is one of the best episodes just for this particular moment. Just because Edward, we already knew Edward was on the fence about joining the military. And God knows if almost getting killed by Barry the Chopper, basically putting up with Roy Mustang's crap all the time, having Alexander flex on him, and all this other stuff wasn't enough. Getting to see the other side of it, getting to meet somebody who was a soldier, who was at the Ishbal massacre, who has basically become permanently disabled. But this, to me, is perhaps one of the most important talks in all of anime. And dear God, bless Romu Arikawa for this. This is one of your best moments. Edward finally gets to see the other side, not only of the survivors of war, because we already, kind of got a little of this with Dr. Marco, which, by the way, we'll be talking about that soon enough. But, getting to talk to a survivor who also left the military and lost something personal. But I love his, it's like, he doesn't want an auto mail because to him, his injury keeps him honest. It's a constant reminder of what happened and what he did, of just the madness of war and what it does to people. And honestly, to that, I kind of say God bless him, because I mean, it's so easy to want to get back all that you've lost. But sometimes we need these things to remind us of why we lost them in the first place, of all the decisions, all the things that led up to that bad moment. And doing something to just take that away, to me, kind of ruins it. To me, I respect this man. I mean, yeah, it makes his life harder. His kids are basically having to look after him. He's racked with grief, but at the same time, he's trying to remain as honest as he can and not forget what he's seen. And I also have to think, to a degree, he's also not getting his leg replaced with an automail one, kind of as a warning to his grandchildren, because I have to imagine they know that he was a soldier. Maybe they're still too young and naive to really understand the full context of the warnings he tries to give them. But when they think about Grandpa not having his leg, it hits home that much harder.
Yeah, and
you can't look at those scars and not understand.
And I forget, because I forgot, they don't go to that one. They do go to that one city, the automail city, but I don't think that's until season 2, at least in the original. to where they see that more and more that that's what the town is made of. But at the same time, too, that's why I like the scene too, because you see that. No, I don't do this because oh, I know my granddaughter would be like, oh, it'll make my life easier. You guys don't have to help me. I don't have to struggle as much. But no, the thing is, this injury, even though I have lost my leg, even though it caused me a lot of pain, it got me closer to you. It got me closer to what I want. And he's like saying sometimes that is the equivalent exchange where you lose something, but you can gain so much more sometimes for losing that. And at the same time, Edward, being Edward, the consummate scientist who can't see that type of either faith or spiritualism or positivity sometimes, he can't see it like that. He's like, I have to get my brother and my body back at any cost. And he's like, well, aren't you chasing after a dream that once you achieve this dream, well, what do you do then once the dream's over?
Yeah, and that's kind of the funny thing he points out to him. A dream is only a dream if you don't achieve it. Like once you achieve whatever it was you were setting out to do, then it's not a dream anymore. It's a reality.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, it's a very profound philosophical moment. And of course, like you said, Edward's always looked at the world through the eyes of a scientist, whereas his brother is more the philosophist.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I mean, it kind of goes back to the old saying of you learn more in defeat than you ever do in victory. And they're actually one of the greatest expressions of this very concept, strangely enough, would be the story of the very first hero of humanity, the king of Uruk, Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was just pretty much a nigh unstoppable beast of everything when he was created. I mean, hell, Ishtar got so pissed off she demanded that gods create an assassin, which became Enkidu, to try to fight him, to perfectly counter him, and frankly, he still won that fight with ease. But the funny thing is, where he truly lost was when Enkidu died, when Ishtar basically commanded that the gods take away his divinity, and he eventually crumbled back to the earth from whence he came. And that put the fear of death into him because he understood, I may be a god, but I'm also half human. Eventually, I too will die. Losing his friend was what changed his life. He goes on a quest for an herb of immortality. He finds it, but then in his arrogance, he gets drunk and falls asleep. A snake eats it. And eventually, he just comes to accept that, you know what? I've done all this crazy shit in my quest to surpass death because of what the trauma of my friend's death did to me. But maybe it's time for me to finally stop being arrogant and prideful and to be what I am meant to be, a wise king who rules over humanity. And hence he did. And by the way, in Fate Grand Order, Archer Gilgamesh is the young, arrogant, prideful Gilgamesh. Caster Gilgamesh is the one who learned the lesson and finally decided to be the wise king of Uruk. I know, I talk a little too much about fate, but hey, it's a neat way of expressing that story. And strangely enough, to me, this is also another way of doing it. Edward is, in a very real sense, still in the prideful state. He knows he's a brilliant alchemist. He's a genius. I mean, he's the son of father. How could he not be? And yet, he still hasn't completely had that lesson hammered into his head yet. He's still trying to think and rationalize everything, to break it down into scientific terms where he can basically manipulate the data in order to get to the outcome he wants to achieve. But this man, in a very real sense, is what Edward could, and to a degree, eventually will become, where he learns, he learns the lesson. It's like you could, in theory, use your brilliance in alchemy to get your bodies back. But what will the cost be? Which is kind of the underlying theme of Fullmetal to begin with.
Well, at least in the original, because again, I don't mean to crap on Brotherhood, guys. I really don't. But all that stuff with the Philosopher's Stone and I'll even say, since it's based off of Romano Arikawa's manga, it is in there. It really is in there, but it really is more a political, romanticized, adventurous take, where this is really, again, we said it, I think, in the last review or even the last couple previous. What I like about the first two original seasons in 2003, 2004, including the final movie, Conqueror of Shambhala, is that it's the journeyman's tale. It's the journeyman's tale where they're on the road to discovery. Yes, they have a goal they're trying to meet, but along that way, they're discovering so much more about the world that's similar to them, that's different, the ways of good and evil, that there is gray, but there is evil, there is good. Where again, Alphonse believes in that a little bit more. Edward more the fucking cynic, and sorry, Edward fans, he is, has a hard time believing. And believe me, that comes from watching countless and copious things when it was on TV, when it was still in syndication, watching it with some friends, watching it by myself. Edward really is like, I love him. He's a great character. I don't hate him at all. But sometimes his scientific mind drives me fucking crazy because but like my mom and several other of my friends put it, you can have any gift of God, any gift of spirituality staring you in the face, good or bad, even a devil, and you could refuse to believe it. And hell, I don't mean to toot my own horn. It'll probably be a long time till we get to it. But whenever we do review Nefarious, oh, there's going to be a huge talk on that one. And granted, you guys have heard me name drop that several times. And sorry if I've name dropped that film a lot, but that is such a great film where, again, it goes over all facets. Heck, we'll probably even talk about this again when we get to The Exorcist. But again, the reason I bring those up is because you can be any of these type of people and refuse to believe it right when it's in front of your face. Because as you've seen, the Elrics have helped people. They've seen these miracles. Alphonse probably has always believed that they were capable of these things and that something is guiding them. But Edward, as you see, a lot of these episodes end with Edward's philosophy thinking, and he's just thinking, are we really doing what we're doing, or are we helping people? Are we doing this? And it's like he's looking at it as small victories. And believe me, they are. They aren't really grand, but they are grand to the people they've helped. But you have to be willing to see that over time, which is not easy for scientists, people wanting to base everything in reality to see. And sorry for any budding scientists or anybody out there, but that is akin to real life. There's certain things that science can do and certain things that we shouldn't do. And I'll just make a big quick little side note before I let you continue here. Like, for instance, you guys probably haven't seen in the news a direwolf thing. I'm fine with that as long as we can keep that thing contained. I'm not happy that it seems like we didn't splice it. They added direwolf genes to 2 wolf pups. I don't mind that you did that either, but if this gets out of control, look what you wrought to something that God and nature had die out, whether it was by our fault or others. So I hope you can contain this thing. I don't mind that you did it. It is cool. But if it gets out of control,
well, and I mean,
Jurassic Park, anybody?
Kind of to that point, I mean, if the dire wolf already went extinct, the world has moved on without it. Reintroducing it, going to cause problems.
Well, like I just said, you said it to me a couple days ago, Jurassic Park, anybody. So,
yeah.
But I mean, again, didn't mean to go off on that tangent, but that's what Edward is. He always has to find that silver lining. But the thing is, with scientists, what if there is no silver lining? But you can't define everything in life by a silver lining. Sometimes it's not as clear cut and dry in that. There are things in life we can't explain. And they've helped. I mean, we're almost, I think we got we're halfway through the 3rd disc, and we have one more disc of the 4th season because there's 4 discs in total. And, even halfway through the 1st season, you see where they have affected so many people for the good. They've had some losses. It's true. Maja Hall and a few other people who they met have had some losses. Probably Nina stings the most. And believe me, Mace Hughes gave Edward the heads up on that in this recent episode. And yeah, Nina probably stings the most. But oh man, they have not gotten to that whole point just yet. They're getting close to that. But let us also harken back to, actually, it was in this episode where they get the note from Marco. The branch, the first library, that's where my stuff is. But one word of note for you guys, the genuine truth within truths. Why would Marco put that? You'll see if you don't know what we're talking about.
Well, and like to me, the difference between the scientific and the mindset of a scientist and a man of faith is kind of the difference between acknowledging something and accepting something. Like you can acknowledge the truth of something, but still want to be in absolute defiance of it. But a true man of faith will accept a situation knowing full well that even the most sad and tragic of circumstances all fall within the purview of God's will.
Mhm.
All things will happen as it is meant to happen. It simply is what it is. And that's the difference between the grandfather and Ed.
Yeah.
Ed can acknowledge the truth of a situation, but that's not going to stop him from defying the truth, which, as we're going to find out, later on, does have its consequences.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, an arm and a leg, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance, on the other hand, you can accept a situation regardless of how grievous it is. You don't have to like it, but you can accept it and you can find strength in it, which is exactly what the grandfather's done. And by the way, me and Boku have talked extensively about the difference between the ending to Brotherhood and the original.
Yeah.
And honestly, this kind of, like, to me, like, just my personal feelings, I'm not sure how the rest of you feel, I prefer the original because, in a sense, if you think about it, them working to get their bodies back is kind of like a second massive defiance of God. It would only make sense that, yes, you did all this other shit, but at the end of the day, you still performed a second human transmutation successfully. It would only make sense that they would have to pay a price, such as, well, what you'll see at the end of the show.
Yeah. Well, because again, to do something grand and then to do something that grand again without realizing the cost of what you're trying to do with what they have to do is something.
Even with all the stuff they do leading up to it, it's like you're still committing another original sin. So it makes sense. But on the other hand, Brotherhood,
romanticize. That's all you need to say.
Don't get me wrong. It's cute, I'll just take away your knowledge of alchemy. But they're still geniuses. As long as they train, they can still get back up to that level.
And I don't mean to go on that tangent. I'll make it really quick. But because if that really is what it is in the manga, and because it looks like that's what it is in the manga, because I've seen that chapter where they see everything and get their powers, not Alphonse, but Edward's part of it at least. And I look at that and I go, I get it, but the thing is, I know they go through a lot in Brotherhood. I know they do, but it's also, in my opinion, what you learn, because that would mean if we really prayed or begged hard, God would give us everything we wanted. Well, not necessarily, because it's a learning curve. What did you lose, and what will you do to better your life to keep continuing from doing those same mistakes? That's why it wouldn't be like, okay, here you go, your limbs grow back, you get the back, I'll leave you guys alone if you give me my alchemy back.
Well, and I could just imagine. I could just imagine Father in Hell just looking up at the truth, being like, "You do realize they're both geniuses, and they're going to get their alchemy powers back in no time flat, and they could make this mistake again."
Well,
and look, I don't want to harp on it, but to me, yes, it's sad, what happens at the end of this one, but it makes sense, considering all the shit that happens.
Well, and to say really quickly, maybe it's because of I know we haven't gotten there yet, and I'm just cherry picking. I've only seen it once. Maybe it's because of what they did, taking down the regime, taking down Father, taking down all his homunculi. I get it. Maybe that's why he did what he did, or whatever you want to call truth, because the truth in Brotherhood is voiced by Lucy Christian, who is a female, but I think that's what the truth is. We're not really supposed to gender truth, but I've always called God he, so that is he. And it's like, I don't know. Even with what they do, it just seems like, it wouldn't be too but then again, as you guys have already heard us mention in these reviews, I'm not happy with watching this again. And, how did I miss the Christ figuring of Father in two different things? Oh, look, he's Christ. He's Confucius. Hiromu, Arakawa. Bit of a problem with that. I see what you're going for, but are you insinuating something with the Christian and Chinese faiths?
Well, also, I kind of forgot to mention this, but one thing I really love about this version of Fullmetal is how, we along the way we've mentioned how they run into all these other people who practice alchemy, and they all have their own different aspects they focus on, their own reasons for it, their own philosophies towards it. What I love about this journey that they're on in the original is how, in a sense, it's almost like they're becoming a philosopher's stone. You're taking all these different ideas, beliefs, practices, and they're all being learned by these two kids, and it's in a sense blending, molding, and yes, alchemizing them into stronger and more intelligent individuals.
Well,
in a sense, the Elric brothers are become a philosopher's stone because they become an amalgamation, an alchemized combination of all that they learned along their journey.
Well, and before I let you finish it up, Jherick, with your not final thoughts, but give your thoughts, and then we'll get to the characters and final thoughts, because I know we're getting a little long in the tooth with all these rants. But it's like, there's the book that was made that I read in college about the alchemists. I forgot what it is, but there's that, and then there's all the other writings of Nicholas Flamel and all that. But when you read anything on any of our, whether it was American, European, Asian, whatever culture, all their things about alchemy have been, what is the journey? What do these guys do? And you see where they go along the journey, where it seems perilous. It seems that they help people, they discover, and it's like, what is the thing to make a philosopher's stone? And usually, to stick with what they're doing in the story, where the philosopher's stone are made of people, when Nicholas Flamel in these stories, the main character, who usually is the guy who created it, when he discovers it, he always, in every story, whether it's old or whether it's been modernized, always seems to get the philosopher's stone when he's in a near-death situation. So keeping to that thing with death, but also look what he's discovered along the way, that it was earned, that God took pity on him, decided to spare him and say, well, you have earned your right to have this object, but this object you must use sparingly. Because you never see, because guys, you never notice how in any of the stories we never see, except for little excerpts of what they say at the end, what Nicholas Flamel does with it, where he does great things with it, but we don't hear anything after that, because that's for our judgment to say, did he use it for good? Did he use it for evil? We don't know.
Yep.
That is for us to decide and make up our minds for. But look what he had to do to get this damn thing.
Well, and funny you should mention that, because just yesterday I got to the part in Persona 3 Reload where Junpei gets shot by Takaya, and in order to save his life, Chidori basically gives her his life. And it is so much better in this game, because when he gets shot, he has a dream where he's in the hospital bed and she's the one visiting him, and she's telling him how it can't end like this. And he's remembering, yeah, I just got shot. I just got killed. When you see her give her life to him, when he's on that verge of death, between life and death, you see their two personas fuse together in a fusion of fire and love, and he becomes reborn, and so does his persona as Hermes Trismegistus, another name for the father of alchemy. Yeah, dude, you got to see that cutscene. That shit was beautiful, man.
Well,
worth it just for that.
And because you and I just went on another huge tangent, sort of get us back.
I know, children. It's going to happen. But anyways, yeah, it's just one of those things. And honestly, getting on to like final thoughts, this to me is one of the most important episodes we've seen thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about this was beautiful. And heck, knowing that Al was, even pretending to be an empty suit of armor and having half his body missing at this point, was able to basically scare that kid straight into going back home to his family.
Grandpa, brothers, come home.
Like, again, and honestly, I'm not sure if this girl was making the googly eyes at Ed, but I wouldn't be too shocked if she becomes waifu number 6 at this point.
And also, to do a quick little mention for you guys who know the English cast, basically, the guy who does Gluttony, Chris Kaysen, he was also voicing this boy. So it's so funny to hear the differences in their two voices. Because Gluttony, he plays it so childlike and creepy. And Chris Kaysen, like, for this young man, he's just sort of, like, subdued and rather normal. And it's like, I can't believe that's, can I eat it? Versus, yeah, I'm going to show these mafia guys who's boss. Wow, I can't believe that's the same guy.
I mean, it just shows the range these older voice actors used to have.
Some of the newer ones do have it too. I'm not gonna crap on the new generation, but again, like you even mentioned, Jherick, and we won't get into it now because that's a whole thing we could probably do for some of the newer stuff. And then I know a lot of people said a lot of the legacy voice casts they're jerks, but I'm like, guys, look, as far as that goes, Hollywood, some of the newer, some of the older, yeah, a lot of our guys seem jerkish, and a lot of Hollywood actors are like that too. I've learned we can meet these people, we can get their autographs, we can enjoy the panels that we go to and see, but sometimes these folks are not very thrilling. So I mean, it's just something I take with a grain of salt, because here's the thing. Not everybody's going to be, Vic Mignogna. Not everybody's going to be Richard Epcar. Not everybody's going to be Crispin Freeman or some of the guys, Scott McNeil. A lot of these guys who seem very nice, personable. Christopher Sabat, I've heard, is the same thing. A lot of these other guys are great too, but not everybody's going to be that way. My thing is like, hey, we enjoy them for the work, because here's the thing. You've heard us mention it. We know Damon Mills, Jamie Marchi, and Monica Rial did their stupid thing, and as much as it is stupid, I respect their work. May not like them very much more as people, but I respect their work. And I admit, if I had a chance to meet them again, I would. If they heard any of this, I'm like, well, hey, I apologize, but if you allow me without getting angry, why were these insinuations? And where is your evidence to support the insinuations against Vic? But I doubt that would ever happen. And I'm pretty sure they'd have somebody tackle me to the ground before I could ask Monica Rial that question.
I mean, hey, in Monica Rial's defense, if I knew that I was Monica Rial and I had to play opposite the god of voice acting himself, Crispin Freeman, I'd be pretty fucking angry too if I had to be opposite literal god of voice acting.
Well, yeah.
I mean, let's face it. If you can't even come close to like Johnny Young Bosch, what the fuck are you going to do next to Crispin Freeman?
Well, and then to that, since you did mention your final thoughts there, Jherick, I know there was a bit more we could mention, but I know
we're kind of running a little.
But yeah, before we go, voice cast, who did you really like in this one?
Oof. Oh, man. Al stole
I know we had a lot, so yeah, just mention them all if you need to.
Yeah, Al stole the show here hard. He was good in this.
Which, again, I didn't save the notes for that, but I remember both actress and actor. Rie Kugamiya in Japanese, Aaron Desmook in English.
Yeah, Aaron Desmook stole the show here. The grandfather, great job.
Don't know who he was in Japanese because I didn't list it in the cast, but Robert McCollum, same guy who did Goten style, Teen Goten is what I should say, style in Certain Magical Index, if you guys are aware of it. Robert McCollum, I always keep forgetting how good of an actor he is too, and I don't think he gets due credit for any of the roles he's pretty much in. Yeah, he does.
And of course, last but not least, I do have to give it to Mr. Alchemy himself, Vic Mignogna.
Oh, Vic Mignogna. Oh, yeah, of course, Edward. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of a smaller cast for the voice this time, and I would have loved to have given it to Mr. Alexander Louis Armstrong, but a little too distracted, Mr. Armstrong.
Well, no. Vic Mignogna, his performance, and also Romy Paku in Japanese, both their performances in this one, they were subdued, but when they were getting angry, because again, it's like he was fighting against the veteran's will, and Vic brings that out really well. Romy Paku brought that out very well.
Honestly, I was dangerously close to putting him on top, because like when he gets his leg stolen by the girl, his desperation when he notices Al is missing, the conversation with the grandfather. Yes. I mean, this was a really hard one to call, but yeah, I'm sticking with Al, grandfather, and Ed.
Well, and not only that, I was going to bring it up because none of us brought it up. Romy Paku did it great, but because, the Japanese have that more of an honor system with their acting, it was a little more subdued, but that subtleness, Major, I'm sorry, like Savage just giving that little nod, that little, of acknowledgement. It spoke volumes. It's such a subtle little line, but I loved it. And the way Vic just delivers it is just like, it's like you realize that, you had a point in saying what you said, but you carried it a little too far. And knowing that he got to know the Major through this a little bit, he knows Armstrong probably regrets the terribleness he did during this film.
I mean, hey,
realizing that, he made a mistake carrying it too far.
Don't get me wrong. We all love him screaming Kakarot to the top of his lungs.
Oh, yeah. Well,
or don't call me Pipsqueak. But Vic's moments when he plays like subdued or even somber or regretful are so powerful.
What's not forget too, we were just talking about it just in a random talk, you and I. His villainous roles too are very memorable. And it's because I don't want to say, and I don't mean to get weird with it, but Vic Mignogna has one of those, I would like to say, velvety voices that you can listen to all the time, like Bryce Armstrong, even some of Sabbath's voices, and like Crispin Freeman, all those guys, they have those voices you just love to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Steve Bloom. Let me not forget Steve Bloom because, his Orochimaru is so devilish and duty and soft and sultry and snaky.
I mean, hell, man.
And I can't believe I didn't pick up that was Steve Bloom for years. I'm like, he's Orochimaru? Holy shit.
I mean, hell, the only reason I could manage to get through the entirety of the .hack GU games was because Crispin Freeman was the villains.
Yeah, well, not only that, he was, I don't think in .hack Sign, probably the best of their anime, I don't think he was any of the heroes, but I think he voiced the one guard of the Queen, who was actually my favorite character because this guy was
the Afro Knight.
Yeah. The guy was such a jerk, but I'm like that this head guard guy of the Queen, who was a player himself. I mean, he carried himself like a jerk for the first half, but I'm like, there's something about this guy. He's loyal to the Queen, but he's like probably not that bad of a person. And then you find out for the second half of the anime, it's like, no, he's not, and he actually believes he's a guy in the anime, but he's actually like caught this girl from the father beating her, and it's like I know they said in the anime, and I think it's both the Japanese and English versions, they say it's a vegetative state. I'm like, given how deep she was under, I wouldn't call that a vegetative state she was in. I would say call a spade a spade. I think that's a coma she's in personally, but that's me. And then the fact that we have that one thing before the anime's over, her father tried to kill her again, because you see where she's wrestling, where the father's wrestling with the damn doctor, because the father wanted to unplug her and kill her. And I'm like, holy crap, your dad's messed up, which we never find out who her dad is, but her dad was just messed up.
Well, yeah, they call it a vegetative state in the Japanese, but in the English translation, they do refer to it as a coma. So
it is a coma, because I swear when I watched the English version, they also said vegetative state too, but I've only seen it once all the way through, and .hack Sign is one I still want to get, because it was a good one, and to most fans, it is still the best of the anime of the Hack series. The games, I'm not sure. I haven't played too many of them, but
I have.
Oh, I know you have. You've told me, immensely.
Trust me. Be patient with .hack GU. It takes a while.
Yeah. But either way, rant over. Finish up, Jherick. Finish up.
But like I said, everybody, again, aces in the voice acting cast, and
pretty much everybody. Yeah,
we get a great setup for what is to come, because arguably the best damn line of this is maybe one day you will see the truth behind the truth, and he's gonna see that. We all know that's coming.
Well, and to say it really quickly before we go, and we probably bet some of you were fed up with how we're sort of, I know it sounds like we're tarnishing Brotherhood, but I just question through the manga and through the thing. And like I said, maybe it's because I saw this original first. I did not read the manga and or see Brotherhood first. I saw this.
Yeah.
And it's comparing apples to oranges. Again, I don't hate Brotherhood, but some of the choices they make, it's more romanticized. It's more this. And I hate to insult any Ling fans, Lanfan, Old Man Fu, what's her name? Oh, Mei Xiao, or Xiao Mei, whatever her name is, the little girl one who's voiced by Monica Rial. I don't mean to insult those characters, but I don't mind that Jean is not even a part of this original story, because sometimes, even in Brotherhood, I got a little annoyed with Sheen, and then the whole, I don't know if it can, is Greed good, is Greed bad, Ling, are you in there? And believe me, we haven't even gotten to the most of that in part 2 yet. When we do, there's going to be, and again, it's good for story. Oh my God, how much more are they going to drag this fucking thing out?
Just to say it a different way, we're massive role-playing nerds,
Yeah.
Like, we love the world building. We got an addiction to that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, we also like, good drama. I mean, hell, you enjoy the Wild at Heart, which was more of a quirky David Lynch film, but it still had a lot of his, facets that we love. And believe me, I started watching Summer Lost Highway after you went to bed. Didn't finish it, but holy fucking shit, that movie is creepy. There's a part where this mystery guy comes up and he's right there in front of Bill Pullman's face. We've met, haven't I? No, what do you mean? We've met. How? I'm at your house right now. Are you kidding me? You're right here. Here's a phone. Call it. Hello. I told you I was here. How did you do that? That's for me to know and for you to find out. And then the part where they synchronize laughing over the phone and him right there. I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, if you think we're nerding out on Full Metal, just wait until we get our hands on something like XXX Holic or Naked Lunch.
Well,
Dear God, we'll be here forever.
Dude, since I was mentioning David Lynch, just wait till we get to any of the David Lynch films. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry guys. I know we're approaching 55 minutes, almost an hour. Thank you for bearing with us. But 012 Boku and
Nerding Out Jackass.
And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. We will see you hopefully down the pike very soon.
Deuces.
See ya.
Man.